So, hi, I'm Tash from Word of Mouth Digital, and this is The Word Is, where we deep dive in on a word with someone that's a subject matter expert. Don't worry, it is not hours-long podcast. I have attention issues, so this will be short, sharp, and sweet. Today with me, I have the wonderful Erin, who is the founder of Le Purée, and her word of the day is... Intentional. Before we dive into what that means for you, can you give us a bit of a backstory of like the sort of formation of Le Purée, how it came to be, the purpose behind it, your story, and how you got to this point?
Yes. So it's a multifaceted reason why Le Purée exists. But when I first started the business, I moved to Australia. I had a background in medical sales for a very long time. But I had my first daughter, Amelia. She was 8 weeks old, and my husband's job moved us here. And, during the early throes of motherhood, I think you learn a lot about yourself and what you want to do and how you want to, prepare for your future. And around 6 months old, we were getting ready to start Amelia on solids. And my mother-in-law, so lovely, cooked all these beautiful purees for me because she knew I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Time poor. I was about to start with my previous job, corporate job.
Right.
And then I remember going to the interview thinking, this is just not right for me right now. Like, I'm just not ready to go back.
Totally.
And I always had a kind of a dream of doing something on my own, but it really had to have that purpose. And then it just clicked. My mother-in-law was making all this amazing food, and I was like, this is really saving me right now. Like, if I didn't have this, and I'm sure so many other parents are feeling the same way, maybe there's a way I could commercialize it. So I started making my own little recipes of baby food, consulting nutritionists, and then a mother's group just popped online and said, hey, does anyone know any fresh baby food companies? And I said, well, there aren't any, but I'm starting one. Do you want to try some of my baby food? And then 30 moms in the area replied, and it just kicked off from there.
Wow. So it's just fortuitous timing.
Yes, it was very, some parts of the business was organic. But yeah, it was very good timing.
Yeah. And I'm guessing you didn't take the corporate job.
I didn't take the corporate job. I said, I'm going to give myself 6 months to really give this 100%.
I think a big part of it is something changes in you and you become a mum, and your priorities that you think wouldn't change before suddenly shift. It's like a mental state thing as well, because a lot of people would be like, oh my God, that's crazy that you did that. But there is something in mums where you're like, no, I need to do this with my kids and for my kids, right?
Yeah, I think you just have that intuition. And it covered a lot of bases for me of what I wanted at the time. And it still does. So I made the right choice.
But I think, your word, because I saw someone that you said the word of the team's year is intentional and intention. But I think, like, I've known you quite a long time now. I feel like you've always been very intentional in your choices and that's how you've been able to sort of scale the business without losing any brand integrity.
Yes. So I think in the early stages, you have a limited amount of resources.
Yes.
So you have to be very intentional with what you spend, and you don't have staff and employment and all things like that. But then as the business grows, you can get pulled in a lot of different directions. There are so many different areas to put your money behind: marketing and recipe development. And hey, you have snacks. Why don't you do diapers and clothing and all these other things? And you really can get caught up in that for a minute because you have this particular customer that you've built trust with, and you think about every area you could serve them as a trusted company. And we have not made mistakes, but we've delved into other products that really weren't the right fit, and we know why our customers come to us. So being intentional with what we're offering them, really solving that problem that they need, that's why they come, is the key reason why we have to be so intentional with everything that we do.
Yes. You can't be everything to everyone.
Exactly.
And so intentional for you, like, if you could define it, at least for this year, what does that mean? What does that mean for you right now?
So for me personally, it covers a lot of different areas. I have 3 kids now. I have a very big team, and every minute that I spend my day has to be intentional and for a specific purpose. I think in the early days, especially as a parent and the type of woman that I am, I like to do everything. That's what makes me feel really accomplish, but that also doesn't mean you're doing a great job of everything.
Yeah.
And I think, being 6 years into the business, it wasn't even just me. You're a reflection of your team. Your team wants to know from you what is important, what is something that I should be focused on, because that's coming from the top down. So it's important for me to be intentional with my time, intentional with my kids. When I'm with my kids, I'm not thinking about work. I'm putting everything else down. Intentional with my partner and intentional with my staff, really preparing for meetings and product development and everything that actually deserves the right time.
And like, it sounds easier said than done, I'm sure. So like, are there tools or ways that, like, for instance, with your kids putting all tools down, I'm sure that hasn't happened overnight.
Yeah.
Are there things that you've done or put into place to allow you to be intentional?
Yes, I think it has been 100% empowering the people around me. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with, is this really something that I should be doing right now? Or have I not empowered the person who has the skill set to be doing this to do that? And that comes in every area of my life.
I mean, I think it's a skill that's honed over and also requires self-awareness. Right?
Yes.
And also, like I was talking about this in our previous record, like when you're an early stage founder, whatever type of business you have, you're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to suddenly like put that hat down. Are there like inflection points or moments where you realize, okay, it's time for me to do this and be more intentional, step away? Was it that you just realized this is not for me?
I think it has 100% to do with self-awareness.
Yeah.
I think understanding, and most of my self-awareness has come from my team. If something's not going a specific way, I think it's natural to like blame a team member or say, oh, they should have known this, but 9 times out of 10 is because they didn't have the right direction.
Right.
So I think ultimately, I think that's actually the biggest learning when you become a founder or running a business is, how do I look inward and say, okay, what part of that is about me and how could I improve that? And then you can really help delegate and empower your team, because people are capable of so much more than we probably give them credit for all the time.
100%. I think, we've spoken a lot about how I think a big part of this is your belief and trust in your team. And someone very early on to me said that hiring is going to be the most important, but also the hardest thing you'll ever do in your business, which I totally agree with. Are there things that you've put into place, systems, like how have you been able to scale your team so successfully? Because you have long-standing staff, virtually no churn as far as I'm aware, and teams that, like, people in your team that are experts that really, really love I feel like they live and breathe your brand. What have you done? That's not easy to do.
No.
And it doesn't happen overnight and not by accident. So what are you doing differently that other people are not?
I think ultimately there's no secret solution to that, but I really believe that passion is contagious.
Yeah.
And when you're passionate and you are passionate about your staff and where the business is going and you take people on the journey with you, they feel a part of it.
Yeah.
I remember when I started Le Purée, and I've worked for many other corporate companies in the US, and it was almost like the company you worked for was a brand you carried. You're like, I work for this company, and I feel really good
like
about working for this company.
Yeah.
It's like a badge of honor. And I probably grew up in a family that's like, who do you work for?
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the barometer of, pretty much how your career might flourish.
Right.
So I think having a lot of passion in what you do, really understanding people's strengths and listening to your team. They're not always going to be right. There's always going to be a compass in there that you have that experience. But I think being open-minded, listening, trying, failing, allowing your team to fail is what makes a really cohesive. And we're all in it together. Yeah. And we're all very aware of that.
And is there something about, like, how do you figure out within the business what's the next hire? Like, are you identifying gaps, or like, how does that work?
We always find gaps, but I do believe that a smaller team is better.
Mm.
I think having people not wearing all of the hats, but understanding most hats and giving the team availability to grow and learn and really dig into what they want to outsource, because that actually builds a lot of resilience in the team. And employees, like, they naturally want to be able to level up to their future position. And in a small startup, we have 6 key leadership staff members.
Yeah.
They have to create their next role. So we try to do everything within, unless it's way out of our scope,
Yes.
which will bring in experts.
I mean, the world's limitless for them, really.
Exactly.
What is your intention for 2020? Like, where do you see you and Le Purée growing to in 2026 and beyond?
I think our number one goal is to be a baby and toddler meal company that's accessible for everyone,
Mhm.
and not always focusing on our customer, but all parents across Australia. So I think making sure that we're in the right places and in the right categories that parents want to shop and want to find trust in the food that they're giving their children, and staying really focused on strategy. I think we used to kind of throw spaghetti at the wall for a while to see, what's working, what's not working. We now have so much information. It's how are we using really good quality information and delivering what our customers want.
Yeah.
So I think being intentional this year is broadening our scope into like the retail landscape, really understanding what parents want, and having every parent know what Le Purée is and that it's a safe way to feed your baby quality food.
Amen. Both my kids eat Le Purée. I understand. And so, obviously that's the intention for Le Purée. Are there other brands that operate with intention that you look to, admire, reference, that you think are doing it really well in the market? Is there someone else that you think that's where how I think intention is best executed?
I mean, there's so many incredible brands, but I think what drives Le Purée and being able to work for very brands that have longevity in the industry, I probably look at the same brands that most other people look at as Apple and Nike and Louis Vuitton, and companies that have had hundreds of years in the industry, but there's just something that sparks a feeling when people buy them.
Yes.
And I think that's something that we always think about when we do things at Le Purée. Like, we're not just selling food, we're selling trust, we're selling emotion, we're selling support, a village. And how do we share that so it's not just something off the shelf?
Yes. I mean, to that point, you've just launched a really very beautifully intentional new marketing campaign. What was the sort of inspiration behind that? To give a bit of reference point, I suppose it's showing the generational story of how food passes on through the generations, right?
Yeah, so I think we can all agree, and we have some new mothers on the team, which, we live in a world where everyone's on social media, especially early motherhood. You're really just drenched with so many different ads and information, and it can be really overwhelming for a new parent. And a long time ago, we used to just look at our own parents for advice and what worked for us and our family, and that's how you carry tradition. And when I started Le Purée, I know we do dive a lot into the science, but our whole purpose is just to give babies really good home-cooked quality food, because we know that that's what we've had for generations, and that's what builds a long, healthy life. So when we were thinking about a campaign, we tossed around a lot of ideas, and we did get some pushback from the team. Why isn't this just a product campaign? Why this product is so good? And I said, well, any sneaker can be the same, but why is Nike different? There's something that we need to share with our audience about who we are as a brand that will connect with them. And we said, looking at how our mothers mothered to how we mother today, so much has changed, but the values are the same.
Yeah.
We want to have high quality food. We want to have more time with our kids. We want to put down all the noise and really just have wholesome quality time with our families.
Yeah.
And that's what we were trying to share through the campaign, that although so much has changed, the real values hasn't. And that's what we are at Le Purée.
It's the same. It's also that, if my mom's cooking something for my kids, I can trust it.
Yeah.
Implicitly.
Yes.
It's like this sort of you know it's going to be nourishing, and that's like what you guys are trying to bottle up and freeze
Freeze and send.
freeze and send. And that security is actually, to me, as a mum, I think priceless for a lot of mums, because not everyone has the luxury of having grandma come over and cook.
No.
Or having mum have the time to come over and cook, you know? So I think it is I don't know if this is something you guys are experiencing, but in the sort of 2026 world of AI slop, that these emotive campaigns are actually what's cutting through.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that in the response from your audience?
Yes, I think, we used to do a lot of high quality footage of product, which is always beautiful. But people connect naturally through emotion. We know that. And I think, being able to see someone that you may recognize on social media and then their mother with them as a baby. And then we had a lot of other customers who joined in and sent their photos. And even our whole team went back to look at childhood photos of them. And you look at your own family in a totally different light when you have your children.
Yes.
And I think it's just a very nostalgic moment. And we found that so many people were just opening up albums and looking back, and that if they remember Le Purée for that reason, that's incredible. And that's what we were trying to share.
Totally. It's just that emotional connection point.
Yeah.
For sure. You might not have an answer to this. Are there any hot takes you have about being intentional? Are there things that you think are a big no when it comes to being intentional? Or are there things that you veer away from personally?
I think as running a business and a growing business, there's always going to be a lot of noise. And sometimes having that longevity in the seat of wearing all those hats, you know what to prioritize. And I think the hardest part about just being a CEO, a founder, an employee is staying focused on your priorities. And this year, I'm holding myself and my team accountable that they know what their priorities are. And we are diligently going back to, okay, is this moving the needle?
Yeah.
Is this actually intentional for what we're trying to do? And if it's not, it's just noise. We need to move it to this bucket.
Yeah. And is that for you a mindset thing, or is this a systems thing?
I think it's a mindset thing for me. I used to be a little bit more go with the flow, but I realized that structure is the key to success in so many areas of our lives.
I feel you.
It's really hard to manage, but if you don't hold yourself accountable, your team, they're learning from you as well. So they're as long as those expectations are aligned, I think that's really key.
And how do you is it intuitive? Do you lean in on experts as to you've obviously scaled the business significantly over 7 years. How do you know where to lean into, where to best your interests, your attention's best served? Is it based on market? Is it based on finance? What is the strategy there?
I would say it used to be a lot in marketing and brand, but my hat's kind of changed this year to really managing financial and P&L and looking at data to say okay, this is what we need to do. This is what this next step is going to take us, which is very different for me. I've never done that before. I've had experts help teach me what's actually important when looking at things from a bird's eye, which gives a lot of clarity to business. So that's definitely something that has shifted for me. But I think listening, learning, not becoming overly obsessed with what you don't know, but having an idea of what you don't know is really important. And that continuously will evolve.
I feel like for me, knowing the numbers better earlier, I wish I had done, for me at least. There's a lot of this that we put into play about 3 years ago. Is that something you would is that advice you'd give other founders to lean into that earlier?
100%. I think when you know your numbers really well, those little decisions are very easy to make. And then you really just get focused on the big decisions because you're sounds like a good idea, but that's actually not worth our time.
And it's also what you don't know sometimes. I think, there were moments where we could have picked up on red flags so much earlier if I had been more across, way back in the early days. So I always, sometimes I'm kicking myself why didn't I just learn that? But I think as women, we're not, it's maybe a generalization, not maybe encouraged to
We're not
lean
encouraged. It's not
into.
my favorite subject.
No,
and
mine either.
My husband's an accountant, so I do rely on him, but he's
Yes.
very busy as well. So
Yes.
it was important for me to learn it, to make quicker decisions, because at the end of the day, it's quite simple if you just look at it at the end of the month.
Yeah, the numbers are the numbers. Yeah. I think it is important to have experts at least guiding you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to learn. Are there other things that you, like for founders, maybe earlier on in the journey than you, are there certain non-negotiables that you think are really crucial for them?
I think just being accountable, showing up for your team is really important.
Yeah.
I think, just that those are the two things: showing up, being accountable, listening. Most of my team, I've run two sides of the business, like the marketing side and then the actual production side, but knowing everyone, what they're going through, like those little things as a small business are really important to people. It is a people's business.
Yeah.
And that's how you get longevity. We're building a little family at Le Purée. You do carry a lot of that, and employees have their own families and things that are going on, but I find that those are superpowers that you can really help people, and then they'll help you when you need it.
Yeah. I mean, you get out what you put in as sort of collaborative, right? I think, there's so much in terms of how you sort of intentionally approach so many aspects of the business. Is there things that you've done that you wish you hadn't?
Oh my God, there's so many things. I think I grew this business also having 3 kids. So it was a little bit of a mishmash for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's also a part of the journey. And I think when you're a founder and when you're starting something, it's not always about reaching the finish line. The journey is really important. And it's actually the funnest part about the business.
Yes.
So acknowledging the wins, focusing on the successes is really important. And, building a thick skin, it's not an easy world.
So Erin went back to work after her third.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Was
that how did you, I think part of it is obviously that's the beauty of running your own business.
Yeah.
Was that, it must have come with its own challenges.
Yeah, I think running a business, having children, not having a set maternity leave, you don't really give yourself the grace that you should take. But also it is an amazing blessing as well. There's, I'm able to cut out and prioritize my kids' Mother's Day breakfast and do all those things, which I give to the team as well.
Of course.
That's something that I feel very empowered. I actually find that the best part of the job, that I can say, yeah, of course, do those things.
Yeah,
as long as you nail your priorities,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. I'm not watching your clock. You know what you need to do.
No, I feel like those businesses that are watching the clock get the worst outcomes.
Yeah.
For sure. I think a lot of, and actually even people that I know that have been following your journey as well, are really fascinated by the retail trajectory of Le Purée, because, again, you've been very intentional. I think you probably could have done it in a different way years ago, but now I think it's really starting to ramp up as you start to expand. What does that strategy look like for you? Has it been slow incremental to test the market and see what works? What's happening now in 2026? What can we expect from you? And how is that all working?
Yeah, so retail has always been a part of the strategy in some way, but I think because we deliver frozen baby food, it's just a very different format than what's been traditionally in the market. So I knew for a long time that it's going to take time to get there, because you can't just convince a parent to go to the freezer and expect to see our cubes and know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of building the brand, getting, the whole country to understand what this concept is. So we are very intentional with our retail strategy. We're focusing just on New South Wales. We have a very good sales rep. She knows every manager at every store. We get the feedback that we need. We do pop-ups. We really are trying to get as much feedback as possible, because we would love to eventually launch our products across all the majors.
Yes.
But you have to crawl before you walk, because there is a special time where it's people know who you are and they're going to come and buy it rather than you're not going to educate them in the aisle.
Yes.
So we have been very intentional about it. And we're going to be launching a new category at Le Purée that's going to help parents understand who we are in the baby food aisle. But that's also very intentional as well.
Yes. Because I think the allure would have been for many other founders, like, it feels, firstly, there's an ego associated to being like, oh, we're stocked in Woolies or whatever. Plus the commercial, there's compelling commercially. But I think that's a lesson for founders that, like, taking the quick and easy route to distribution, for instance, is not necessarily the right strategy at that time.
No, and it could really backfire if you don't do it well. And we have such a strong D2C business. We eventually want to just bring customers in through D2C, but we know retail is very important. Most parents, that's where they're shopping and getting brand awareness every day.
Yes.
But you need to do it at the right time where you have that enough brand recognition in the market.
Yes. And so is there any key thoughts or key lessons you want to leave our listeners with? Things that you've learned along the way about how you, because I think it's actually, I know it seems like it's second nature to you, but I think the way that you implement this sort of intentionality is actually quite rare.
Okay.
And I think it can be a learned skill if you have the framework. Are there things that you think you do really, really well that other people can do?
Yes, I think we don't make the same mistake twice.
I love that.
And I think that's something that you can really get caught up on. I think when you start a new business, you're trying so many things to see what works. And there's a reason why your orders are coming in, but understanding why they're coming in, what source is working for you, and doubling down on that rather than trying 10 different things and not knowing what's actually working is really important. Because, it's not easy acquiring customers. It costs money, and money can be better, used in your quality product and all those other things. So making sure you don't make the same mistake twice is very good.
I love that.
Yeah. And having a great product and listening to your customer all the time.
I think, at the end of the day, the ultimate belief in your product is also so important.
Yeah.
If you can really stand 10 toes down on your product.
I think that's what it is. And every time I heat up a cube, I always look at my team, and we eat our food all the time. Our team goes in the freezer, and, we're all grown adults. We're eating our food because we know how good it is.
The snack cubes?
Yeah, the snack cubes.
They're so good.
And
or
then when
even smoothies,
smoothies, even just heating up our purees.
Yes.
We had a new customer service team member, and she's like, these are amazing. I'm like, because it's real good food.
Yeah.
All of our ingredients are high quality. My mother-in-law is still cracking the whip in the kitchen, making sure it's perfect.
Yeah.
And it's made with care, a lot of care.
Yeah.
So
all from the heart.
It's all from the heart.
Well, that's it.
Thank you
have
Tash.
it. The word is intentional.
Intentional.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Thanks.